Do you know why I pulled you over tonight? License and registration.
Yes, officer, I was trying to get home. Here they are.
All right, let's go over what you saw tonight. Just the facts, nice and slow.
The flashing red-blue lights washed over her face, strobing against the wet pavement like a warning she never deserved. 17-year-old Amina Clark stood perfectly still beside her electric sedan, hands visible, breath tight in her throat. She'd been driving home from a late-night coding session at the youth incubator she secretly funded, an identity nobody here knew, especially not the man stepping out of the patrol car. Officer Dale Harkin approached with a slow swagger, the kind that said he'd already decided who she was. His flashlight snapped up to her eyes. "License," he barked before she could speak. "And don't try anything stupid." Amina swallowed. "Sir, I didn't do anything. You pulled me over 2 blocks from my house." His jaw twitched. "You don't live around here." That line hit harder than the cold wind. She felt her pulse spike, anger curling in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "I do. And I'd like to know. You'll speak when I say you can speak." The words sliced clean and sharp. A passing neighbor slowed, watching, then hurried away. No one intervened. No one ever did. Harkin grabbed her wrist without warning. Metal cuffs clicked around her, biting her skin before she even understood what was happening. "Sir, please. You fit the description," he muttered. Amina froze. She didn't know what description he meant. She didn't know why her chest suddenly felt hollow. But she did know one thing. As he shoved her into the back of the squad car, this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And when her phone vibrated in her pocket with a single urgent notification, she realized something far worse was coming. The cruiser smelled of old vinyl and stale coffee, the kind Amina associated with officers who'd been on the night shift too long. Her wrists ached from the cuffs, cold metal biting deep. She kept her eyes fixed on the blurred glow of streetlights through the back window, willing herself not to panic. Officer Harkin slid into the driver's seat, shutting the door with a heavy thud. He didn't look back at her. "You want to tell me what you were doing out here this late?" he asked sharply. Amina steadied her breath. "I was going home, sir. 2 blocks away." He snorted. "Aha. That car yours?" "Yes. You expect me to believe that?" Her throat tightened. "It's registered in my name." For the first time, he glanced at her through the partition mirror, lips curling faintly. "Kids like you don't usually own cars like that." "Kids like me," she repeated quietly. "If you're gonna play dumb, it's gonna be a long night." Amina swallowed hard. "Officer, I didn't break any laws. You pulled me over for no reason." "Oh, there was a reason." He leaned back, stretching his arm across the seat. "You fit the description." She forced herself not to react. What description? Suspicious. Avoiding eye contact. Driving a high-end vehicle at night. His tone was casual, almost bored. "We've had break-ins around here. I'm not taking chances." "I live here," she said. "You can check my ID." "I will. When I feel like it." Her pulse hammered against her ribs. "I haven't resisted. I haven't raised my voice. Can you at least loosen the cuffs? They're cutting into me." "No," he said, flipping through paperwork he wasn't even reading. "Stop complaining." Silence pressed heavy between them. Amina's eyes stung, not from weakness but fury. She shifted slightly, the cuffs clinking. Harkin sighed dramatically. "See this attitude. This is why things escalate." "I'm not escalating anything. You're being difficult. I'm asking for basic respect." He turned fully now, eyes narrowing. "Listen, you're in the back of my cruiser. You don't get to demand anything." Amina clenched her jaw. "I'm not demanding. He cut her off. "You think you're special or something." She said nothing. "That's what I thought." A radio crackled. Another officer's voice. "Unit 7, status check?" Harkin grabbed the receiver. "Got one in custody. Female juvenile. Possible stolen vehicle. Might need backup. Amina's head snapped up. Stolen. You know that isn't true. He ignored her, continuing. Yeah, she's non-compliant. Might be under the influence. I'm not under anything, she shouted. Harkin muted the radio, then turned to her with a thin smile. See? That outburst right there doesn't help. Her nails dug into her palms. You're twisting everything I say. Because everything you say sounds like trouble. A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. She hated that he saw it. Hated that he smirked. You scared now? He asked softly, mockingly. Amina stared at the window instead. I just want to go home. Well, he said, starting the engine. That's not happening. Her phone buzzed faintly from the evidence tray beside him. She recognized the vibration pattern. 3 short pulses. Only one app used it. Her company's emergency alert system. Someone at the incubator must have flagged her absence. Another buzz. Then another. Harkin frowned. Why is this thing blowing up? Please, she whispered. Don't touch my messages. He smirked. Oh, now you care. He picked up the phone and clicked the screen on. Amina's heart dropped. The lock screen displayed her full name. Amina Clark, Founders Admin Console. A title she prayed he wouldn't understand. What's a console? He muttered, squinting. Please don't, she began, voice trembling. He tossed the phone back carelessly. Whatever. Some game thing. Relief washed through her. But only for a moment. He shifted the car into drive. Let's get you processed. Amina closed her eyes, trying to breathe, trying to stay steady, trying not to think about what would happen when he discovered the truth. 'Cause he would. And she knew the moment he did, everything would explode. The station doors hissed open as Officer Harkin pushed Amina forward. His grip firm on her cuffed wrists. The fluorescent lights above hummed coldly, casting long shadows across the tiled floor. The moment she stepped inside, conversations quieted. Officers glanced up, took in her age, her skin, her fear, and then looked away, uninterested. This one was acting suspicious, Harkin announced, steering her toward the front desk. The desk sergeant barely looked at her. Charges. Possession of a stolen vehicle. Possible substance influence, Harkin replied smoothly. Amina inhaled sharply. That's a lie. I wasn't. Harkin tightened his grip. Don't interrupt. The sergeant sighed. Holding room. We'll sort it out. Great, Harkin muttered. They led her into intake, a narrow hallway lined with lockers and a metal table where officers dropped evidence bags. A female officer stepped forward. You got anything sharp? She asked. No. Empty your pockets. I can't, Amina said, raising her cuffed hands. The woman frowned but didn't question the situation. Fine. I'll check. She patted Amina down with clinical indifference, placing her chapstick, lip balm, and a folded piece of paper into a tray. Her smartwatch followed. Amina watched helplessly as her phone, her lifeline to the world, was bagged and labeled. The female officer glanced at the tag. Amina Clark. Clark with an E. Harkin snorted. She claims she lives 2 blocks from where I found her. I do live there, Amina said quietly. The officer shrugged. All right, sweetheart. Let's just get through this. Sweetheart. The word stung more than she expected. They moved her into the next room. Camera waited. Stand on the line, the female officer instructed. Look forward. The flash hit her eyes, harsh and unforgiving. She blinked tears away as another photo was taken from the side. Turn your head. Amina obeyed. When it was done, they escorted her down a corridor toward a cluster of holding rooms. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and something metallic. Harkin opened a door. Inside. Amina paused. Please, can I call my mom? You'll get 1 phone call, he said. When we decide you need it. That's not how. He shut the door before she could finish. The room was just large enough for a metal bench bolted to the wall and a camera blinking in the corner. She sat, pulling her knees up, trying to slow her heartbeat. Minutes blurred. Then the door opened again. A younger officer entered, holding a clipboard. "We need your statement," he said gently. "You can start by telling me why Officer Harkin believed the car wasn't yours." Amina lifted her eyes. "I don't know. I gave him my license. He never checked the registration." The officer hesitated. "Well, he says you refused to provide documents." "That's not true." He gave a tiny nod, as if he'd heard that line before but couldn't acknowledge it. "Look, just tell me everything." She explained the stop, the cuffs, the accusations. He wrote slowly, saying nothing. When she finished, he set the clipboard aside. "All right. You'll stay here for now." "For how long?" "Until morning. Maybe sooner." "That's hours from now." He exhaled softly. "I know. Can I call my mom now?" He checked the hallway, then shook his head. "Not yet. We're processing other intakes." Her stomach twisted. "Please. She'll be worried." He opened his mouth as if to help. Then Harkin appeared in the doorway. "We done here?" Harkin asked sharply. The young officer straightened. "Yes, sir." Harkin entered the room, gaze cold. Still acting innocent. Amina stayed silent. "Smart," he muttered. "Because the more you talk, the more trouble you make." "I'm not trying to make trouble," she said softly. "You already did." Her phone, sealed in its evidence bag, lay on his clipboard. Even from across the room, she recognized the pattern of alerts lighting the dim screen. Dozens now. Her team was panicking. Harkin noticed the direction of her gaze. "What's with all the emergency messages? Someone babysitting you?" She looked away. "I can't answer that." That's what I figured." He smirked. "Kids like you always got something to hide." Amina's breath stilled in her chest. "I'm not hiding anything." He stepped closer. "Sure you are. I just don't know what yet." The door opened again. A female officer gestured toward him. "We need you up front." Report came in. Harkin huffed, annoyed. "Stay quiet," he told Amina. "And don't try anything." When he left, Amina finally let herself exhale. The room felt heavier now, as if his presence lingered in the air. She closed her eyes and whispered into the silence. "Mom, I'm sorry." Her mother had no idea where she was. Her team didn't know why she'd vanished. And her company, the one she'd built from her bedroom, was expecting her at sunrise. She leaned back against the cold wall. Morning suddenly felt a lifetime away. Sunlight crept over the city, turning glass towers gold. Inside a sleek co-working loft across town, Amina's team gathered around a long white table, laptops open, nerves tightly wound. "Where is she?" Lena asked, checking her watch for the 5th time. As and Amina's closest friend on the team, she rarely panicked. But this silence was different, wrong. "She never misses a pitch." "Never." Jamal refreshed his inbox. No texts, no emails, nothing since last night. He hesitated. "Should we delay the call with the investors?" "We can't," Lena said. "This is our biggest round yet. She'd never want us to stall." The team exchanged worried looks as the video conference timer ticked down. Meanwhile, miles away, Amina sat hunched on the hard bench of the holding room. Her fists were pressed against her knees, her breath shaky. She had no sense of time, only the dull ache in her shoulders and the endless fluorescent buzzing. Footsteps approached. Harkin appeared, leaning against the doorway with folded arms. "You ready to tell me the truth yet?" Amina looked up slowly. "I already did." He scoffed. "Right. Because you're some innocent little student minding your business in a $50,000 car." "It isn't 50,000, she murmured. "Oh," he said, raising an eyebrow. "Is it more?" She went quiet. "That's what I thought." Back at the loft, the investors' faces flickered onto the screen. Lena forced a smile. "Good morning. We're still waiting for our CEO to join." "She's Running slightly behind. Again? One investor asked sharply. This pitch is time-sensitive. Jamal cleared his throat. We can begin the demo while she reconnects. The meeting limped forward, but Amina's absence sat like a storm cloud. Lena kept glancing at her phone, trying Amina's number again and again, each time hitting voicemail. Inside the holding room, a different officer approached. This one older, softer around the eyes. You doing okay in here? He asked quietly. Amina didn't answer. He sighed. Look, you're a kid. This kind of trouble can follow you. Just cooperate with Officer Harkin, all right? I have cooperated. Harkin says otherwise. Amina lowered her gaze. He's lying. The officer shifted uncomfortably. Just try not to fight the process. I'm not fighting. I'm just existing. He didn't know what to say to that. At the loft, Lena ended the disastrous investor call, shoulders sagging. The moment she shut her laptop, she grabbed her phone and dialed Amina's mother. Mrs. Clark. It's Lena. Is Amina with you? Silence. Then a trembling voice. No, she left the incubator late last night. She said she was driving straight home. Lena felt her stomach drop. She never came home. No. And she hasn't answered any calls. Lena stood abruptly, pacing. Okay. Listen to me. Something is wrong. This isn't like her. In the holding room, Amina pressed her palms to her eyes. She could almost hear Lena's voice in her head. Sharp, determined, relentless when something didn't add up. She hoped they would find her before Harkin pushed things further. The young officer reappeared briefly. We're still processing. Try to rest. Rest felt impossible. Amina's mind replayed the night over and over. The flashing lights, the tight cuffs, the disbelief she felt when he called her non-compliant. She whispered into the empty room. Why is this happening? No answer came. At the loft, Lena made a decision. I'm going to the police, she told the team. Now. Jamal hesitated. Do you think? Yes. Something happened. And I'm not waiting. She grabbed her coat. If she's in trouble, we're not letting her face it alone. She left the room with a determined stride. Back in the station, Amina leaned her head against the wall, trying not to fall apart. Every second felt heavier, every breath colder. She didn't know where her team was. She didn't know what her mother had been told. She didn't know when this nightmare would end. But deep down she sensed something shifting, a spark outside the station, a movement she could not see yet. Someone was looking for her. And when they found her, everything would change. Lena stood on the sidewalk outside the station, her breath sharp in the cold morning air. She stared at the entrance, fists tight at her sides, forcing herself not to pace. Her phone buzzed repeatedly with messages from the team, but she ignored them. She had one goal: find Amina. She marched inside. The lobby smelled of disinfectant and old coffee. Two officers stood behind the front desk mid-conversation. When they noticed her, the older one straightened reluctantly. Can we help you? Yes, Lena said. I'm looking for a missing minor, Amina Clark. She didn't come home last night. The officers exchanged a quick glance. The older one coughed. We can't release information on detainees. So she is here. I didn't say that. You didn't have to, Lena snapped. Where is she? Before they could answer, another officer entered, whispering something urgently to the desk sergeant. The sergeant's eyes flicked toward Lena, then toward a sheet of paper being handed over. His posture stiffened. Something was happening behind those walls. Something they didn't want her to see. Lena stepped closer. Tell me where she is. She's 17. Ma'am, please calm down, the sergeant said stiffly. If she's been detained, it means there was cause. Cause? Lena repeated, incredulous. She's a straight-A student and runs a technology company. What cause? The sergeant blinked, confused. She what? Lena didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out her phone and texted a single message to her friend. Someone who owed her a favor. Emergency. Need background check. Fast. Across town, journalist Kayla Mendez opened the message at her cluttered desk in the newsroom. She frowned, recognizing urgency when she saw it. She typed a quick reply. Name: Amina Clark. Kayla ran the name through her secure database. As expected, a standard school file appeared. Honor student, STEM programs, excellent record. But then a second encrypted profile surfaced. Kayla's eyebrows shot up. 17-year-old. Theo. She whispered. She clicked deeper. A sealed directory opened. Information meant to stay hidden from public eyes until the company's formal reveal later that year. A youth-led AI education platform. A global pilot program. Investors lining up. A valuation larger than most adult-run startups. He sat back. And this girl was in police custody. Kayla didn't waste another second. She opened a blank article draft. Teencio detained without charges. Police silent. Meanwhile, inside the station, Amina sat alone on the metal bench, watching the door as if willing someone, anyone, to walk through it and end this nightmare. Her head pounded. Her stomach churned. She wondered if her mother was calling every hospital by now. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Harkin appeared, radiating agitation. He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. So, he said slowly, guess what I just learned? Amina stayed still. He held up a sheet of paper, tapping it with 2 fingers. Your name's making the rounds. She blinked. What? Some reporters calling the station, he said, pacing. Asking about an underage entrepreneur. Asking why she's being held. His tone darkened. You tell someone to call the press? No, Amina said firmly. I don't even have my phone. Then why's your name in a news inquiry? He snapped. I don't know. Harkin stopped pacing. His jaw twitched. You lying to me about your identity? No. You some kind of runaway. Fraud. How'd you even afford that car? Amina closed her eyes briefly, fighting the swell of anger. I earned it. You. He laughed sharply. Earning. At 17. She held his gaze. Yes. Something in her calmness enraged him. He stepped closer. Listen, girl. If you think pretending you're some big shot is gonna get you out of here, I'm not pretending. He slammed the wall beside her head. She flinched. You think you can play games? A voice echoed from the hall. Harkin. The supervisor, Lieutenant Pierce, appeared, holding a printout. His expression was tight. Come here. Now. Harkin followed him into the hallway. Amina strained to hear. Pierce hissed. You didn't log her arrest properly. You didn't call in juvenile services. And now we have multiple media outlets asking why a minor was detained without reason. Harkin muttered something too low to catch. Pierce snapped. If she's who they say she is, this is going to be a nightmare. Inside the room, Amina's breath quickened. Who they say she is. She didn't know what the outside world was seeing. But she knew one thing. Someone had pulled her name into the light. And Harkin was panicking. Across the city, Kayla hit publish. Within seconds, the headline spread across social media, retweeted by tech influencers and civil rights advocates alike. Comment sections exploded. At the station, phones began ringing. Pierce stormed past Amina's door. We need to get ahead of this. Now. Harkin returned to the room, slowing when he saw her watching him. This is your fault, he spat. No, Amina said quietly. It's yours. For a moment, his mask cracked, fear flickering behind the anger. Then the intercom crackled. Units, be advised, protesters gathering outside the station entrance. Amina's heart thudded. Someone was fighting for her. Harkin turned pale. And she realized, for the first time since the cuffs closed around her wrists, the balance of power was shifting. The station's lobby buzzed with attention no one could ignore. Phones rang non-stop. Officers hurried between desks. Outside, the muffled roar of a small but growing crowd seeped in. Voices chanting Amina's name, demanding answers. Signs pressed against the glass. Free the teen CEO. Accountability now. Protect black youth. Lieutenant Pierce rubbed his temples. Who leaked her identity? He muttered. No idea, the desk sergeant replied. But it's everywhere. News alerts, social feeds, tech blogs. She's trending nationally. Pierce exhaled sharply. She's a minor. This is bad. Meanwhile, in a holding room down the corridor, Amina sat with her hands clasped, the cuffs finally removed but the imprint still burning her skin. Every noise from the hallway made her jump. Her thoughts raced. Mom must be frantic. Lena must be fighting tooth and nail. Investors must be panicking. She pressed her palms together to stop the trembling. The door opened. Pierce entered with clipped steps. Amina Clark, he asked. Yes. Her voice was calm, sharper than before. He cleared his throat. We're reviewing the situation. Until then, remain patient. There seems to be some confusion. Confusion, she repeated. I was arrested for no reason. Pierce avoided her eyes. The officer reported suspicious behavior. I was driving home. He noted possible intoxication. I wasn't under anything. He logged you as non-compliant. I wasn't. Her stare pinned him in place. None of that is confusion. It's lies. Pierce inhaled stiff. We're handling it. No, Amina said quietly. You're covering it. The words shocked even her. Pierce blinked, taken aback. Before he could respond, the door burst open. Her mother, Danielle Clark, stood trembling, rage, fear, and relief mixing on her face. Amina, she cried, rushing to her and wrapping her in a fierce embrace. Amina closed her eyes, gripping her mother tightly. Mom, I'm okay. No, you're not, Danielle whispered. They did this to you. Pierce cleared his throat. Ma'am, please. Danielle rounded on him. Don't you dare. You held a child overnight without cause. Her voice cracked. Without even letting her call me. We followed procedure, Pierce said stiffly. Your procedure is broken. Harkin appeared in the hallway behind him. She resisted. Danielle spun toward him, eyes blazing. She's 17. She's 5 feet tall. And you needed to cuff her and drag her off the street. Harkin's jaw tightened. She acted suspicious. Suspicious. Danielle stepped forward. Existing in her own neighborhood is suspicious. Pierce intervened. Let's calm down. No, Amina's voice cut clean through the tension. Don't tell her to calm down. You need to explain why I was treated like a criminal. Pierce swallowed. We're conducting an internal review. Danielle scoffed. Only because the world found out. She pointed toward the lobby. Have you seen outside? People are here because they know what this is. A sudden knock sounded against the holding room window. Lena stood there with tears in her eyes, flanked by 2 officers who didn't know how to stop her without looking worse. Amina's heart surged. Lena! Lena called through the small opening. We're here. We're not leaving without you. Pierce motioned to the officers. Fine. Bring her to the questioning room. Amina frowned. Why? I already answered everything. It's procedure. Danielle shook her head. No. You're trying to rewrite your story before releasing her. Ma'am, I'm her mother, Danielle snapped. And she's not saying another word without legal counsel. Pierce hesitated. Look, we can resolve this quickly if we just. Release me, Amina said. That's the only resolution. A tense silence followed. Pierce finally exhaled. You'll be released pending review. Harkin's face flushed red. Are you kidding me? Pierce shot him a warning look. We don't have a choice. The press is outside. Harkin stepped forward. She lied about her identity. She played us. No, Amina said evenly. You never asked. Harkin's mouth twisted. You think running some kids' app makes you special? Danielle stiffened. She's a CEO, a nationally recognized innovator. And you threw her in a cell like trash. Harkin sneered. If she didn't want trouble, she shouldn't be. Pierce cut him off sharply. Enough. The room went still. Pierce turned back to Amina. Gather your things. Amina rose slowly, her legs stiff, her hands trembling. She stepped past Harkin, close enough to hear his breath hitch with frustrated anger, and for the first time she wasn't afraid of him. As they walked out, the noise from the lobby grew louder. Protesters pressed against the doors. News cameras flashed. Shouts of "Justice for Amina" echoed through the station. Amina's chest tightened, not from fear but awe. People she didn't know were standing up for her. Pierce leaned toward her mother. We'll be issuing a statement. Danielle's lips curled. Make sure it's honest. Pierce opened his mouth, but a voice boomed from outside. Why was she detained? Why the excessive force? The crowd erupted again. Officers scrambled. Amina stepped into the lobby, the world exploding into light and noise. Lena rushed to her, wrapping her arms around her. You're safe, Lena whispered fiercely. We've got you. Amina held on tight. She was free. But nothing about today felt over. It felt like the beginning of something much larger, and much more dangerous, for the people who put her here. Amina sat curled in the corner of her couch, wrapped in a blanket she couldn't feel. Her mother hovered nearby, pacing. Lena sat on the floor beside the coffee table, laptop open, notifications flickering non-stop. The house was quiet, too quiet, except for the distant hum of helicopters circling above the neighborhood. Everyone was waiting for the same thing. The video. It had surfaced an hour ago, uploaded anonymously, passed between activists, journalists, and tech communities like wildfire. But no one had shown it to Amina yet. Her mother insisted they wait until she'd had water, food, and a moment to breathe. A moment never came. Lena finally said, Amina, it's everywhere now. Before you see it online from someone else, I think. Amina nodded weakly. Show me. Danielle stopped pacing, lowering herself slowly onto the couch beside her daughter. She took Amina's hand, squeezing tightly. Lena pressed play. The footage was grainy at first. A security camera angle from a neighbor's porch, timestamp glowing faintly. Quiet suburban street. Lone car. Then the flash of patrol lights. Amina felt her throat close. Harkin's figure stepped into frame. Swagger unmistakable even in low quality. His flashlight beam shot across the screen, hitting her in the eyes just as it had hours earlier. The audio was faint, but the captions were unmistakable. License. Don't try anything stupid. Danielle's fingers dug into Amina's palm. The recording continued, showing Harkin pulling her from the car, cuffing her within seconds. No resistance. No raised voice. Just confusion. Fear. Then the worst part. The moment he shoved her toward the cruiser, her body stumbling to keep up. Amina swallowed hard. Pause it. Lena froze the image mid-motion. Amina's frightened profile caught in the patrol car's lights. Amina stared at her own face. That's what they saw, she whispered. That's how it happened. Danielle put an arm around her. Baby, we knew. But now the world knows. Lena cleared her throat. And the world is reacting. She clicked to another tab. Headlines filled the screen. Neighborhood camera proves teen CO was falsely arrested. Officers report contradicted by video. Public demands suspension of Officer Dale Harkin. Governor calls for investigation. Amina pressed a palm to her forehead. This is too much. It's necessary, Lena said gently. You don't have to speak. You don't have to post. Just breathe. But breathing felt harder than anything she'd done today. Danielle pulled her closer. Sweetheart, none of this is your fault. Footsteps sounded outside. A crowd had gathered beyond their front gate. Neighbors, activists, reporters. She could hear murmurs through the window, her name carried like a chant. Amina whispered. I didn't want this. I didn't want to be a headline. Lena reached for her hand. You didn't ask for it. But the system forced you into the spotlight. A sudden buzzing sounded from the laptop. Breaking update, Lena murmured. Click. A live broadcast filled the screen. A shaky phone camera view of Officer Harkin arguing with two men in front of the neighbor's porch, where the security camera had been mounted. The footage was unmistakable. His uniform. His voice. Take it down. Harkin barked. That video violates privacy laws. One of the neighbors, voice firm, replied. It's already online. Can't undo it. Harkin stepped closer, jabbing a finger toward him. You're interfering with an active investigation. No, the man said coldly. You're panicking because you got caught. Amina's stomach twisted. He went to their house. Lena nodded. To intimidate them, probably. But someone filmed that too. The video showed Harkin realizing he was being recorded, face draining as he backed away. Amina whispered, he's scared. Danielle corrected softly. He's exposed. Another news alert pinged. Lena clicked it open, eyes widening. The mayor just issued a statement, she said. Listen. The city condemns any misuse of authority. An immediate internal investigation will begin into the conduct of Officer Dale Harkin. We stand with our community in seeking transparency. She looked up. They're scrambling. Amina wrapped her arms around her knees. What happens now? Danielle stroked her hair. We take this one step at a time. But Amina shook her head. No, I mean for him. Harkin. Lena exhaled. Internal affairs will dig. And if they dig deep enough, they'll find more. Amina stared at the paused image on the TV. The moment Harkin cuffed her, the moment she lost 9 hours of her life, the moment everything broke open. I don't want revenge, she said quietly. I just want truth. Danielle kissed her forehead. And you'll get it. Suddenly her phone, finally returned earlier, buzzed with a call from an unknown number. Amina hesitated. Should I answer? Lena nodded. It could be the mayor's office. Or a civil rights attorney. Amina took a deep breath and pressed accept. Hello. A measured voice spoke. Miss Clark, this is Deputy Mayor Rafiq. I'm calling to inform you that Officer Harkin has been placed on administrative leave effective immediately. And we would like to arrange a meeting to discuss next steps in your case. Amina blinked. Next steps. Yes. The investigation is underway. And we believe it's in your best interest to file a formal statement. She lowered the phone slowly. Okay. Thank you. As the call ended, Danielle squeezed her hand again. See. Step by step. But Amina felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. The video was out. The truth was visible. The city was reacting. Yet all she could think about was how easily none of this proof could have existed at all. And how many people never got this chance. The municipal building was too bright, too polished, too quiet. Amina walked beside her mother and Lena, her steps slow but steady. Her lawyer, Ms. Caldwell, led the group toward a set of double doors marked Internal Review Hearing Room B. Amina inhaled shakily. Do I talk first? No, Ms. Caldwell said calmly. You answer only what's asked. You don't defend yourself. You state facts. Danielle brushed Amina's shoulder. You already survived the hardest part. Amina wasn't sure that was true. Inside, a long table stretched across the room. 3 panel members sat behind microphones, 2 men and 1 woman, faces stiff with practiced neutrality. Officer Harkin sat on the opposing side, jaw tight, uniform crisp, eyes stormy. His union representative hovered beside him. When Amina entered, Harkin's gaze flicked upward, sharp, irritated, threatened. The panel chair cleared his throat. Miss Clark, please take your seat. Amina sat, hands folded to hide the tremble. We're here to review a complaint filed against Officer Dale Harkin, the chair began. We'll hear statements from both parties. Ms. Caldwell nodded. We're prepared. The union rep spoke first. The officer acted within protocol after observing suspicious behavior. Amina felt a spark of disbelief. Again with that word. Ms. Caldwell leaned forward. Suspicious. She was driving home. The rep replied coolly. The officer made a judgment call. A judgment contradicted by video, Caldwell countered. The panel chair lifted a hand. Let's proceed in order. Officer Harkin, your report indicates the detainee was non-compliant. Can you elaborate? Harkin straightened. She raised her voice. She refused to provide documents. She appeared evasive. Amina stared at him, stunned by his calm tone. Caldwell whispered, only answer when asked. The chair turned to her. Ms. Clark, did you refuse to provide identification? No, she said, voice controlled. I handed it to him immediately. Did you raise your voice? No. I asked why I was being stopped. Harkin scoffed under his breath. Caldwell shot him a glare. Let the record show the officer is displaying unprofessional behavior during questioning. The panel chair tapped his pen. Ms. Clark, can you describe how the officer treated you during the arrest? Amina swallowed. He wouldn't explain his reason. He cuffed me within seconds. He said I fit the description, but wouldn't tell me what that meant. He tightened the cuffs when I asked him to loosen them. The room went still. One panel member, the woman, leaned forward. Did he inform you of your right to contact a guardian? No. Did he offer medical attention after cuffing you? No. Harkin muttered. She's exaggerating. Caldwell cut in sharply. There's video. The union rep bristled. The video is incomplete. Caldwell slid a tablet forward. Show them. The panel watched in silence. The stop, the shove, the cuffs, Amina's confusion. The footage was damning. When it ended, the woman on the panel exhaled slowly. Officer Harkin, this does not match your report. Harkin's voice strained. She edited that footage. Kids know technology, she doctored it. Amina blinked, stunned at how desperate the lie was. Caldwell stood. The footage came from a neighbor's outdoor security system. Fully time-stamped. Their device uploads automatically to cloud storage. There is no editing. Harkin slammed his palm on the table. She still could've. Officer, the chair snapped. Control yourself. Amina's pulse pounded. She forced herself to meet Harkin's glare. The panel chair turned to her again. Ms. Clark, in your own words, what impact did this incident have on you? Amina inhaled. This part hurt the most. I was terrified, she said quietly. I didn't know if I'd get home. I didn't know if my mom knew where I was. I didn't know if I'd be believed. Her voice trembled. I kept thinking, who else has been through this with no video? No witnesses. No company. No news story. The room fell silent. Danielle wiped her eyes discreetly. Amina continued, steadying her voice. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because I don't want anyone else to be treated this way. The woman on the panel nodded, visibly moved. The union rep cleared his throat. We request that the panel consider the officer's years of service. And his record, Caldwell added sharply. Which includes 4 prior complaints for profiling. A ripple of shock passed across the panel table. Harkin's jaw clenched. Those were dismissed. Caldwell raised an eyebrow. Because there was no video. The chair scribbled notes. We will deliberate. The panel stood. The hearing was over. As they exited, Amina rose slowly. Her knees shook with adrenaline and exhaustion. Harkin brushed past her, muttering low enough for only her to hear. This isn't over. Amina lifted her chin. It already is. He froze, surprised by her strength. She walked past him without looking back. Outside, sunlight poured through the windows. People waited, her mother, her team, supporters who had come despite not knowing her personally. Danielle wrapped an arm around her shoulders. You were brilliant. Lena grinned, proud. You didn't just speak. You stood. Amina exhaled shakily. I hope it was enough. It was, Caldwell said firmly. They saw the truth today. As they stepped into the hallway filled with reporters and community members, Amina realized something she hadn't felt since the moment the cuffs closed around her wrists. For the first time, she wasn't alone in the fight. The city felt different the next morning. Charged, restless, watching itself in a mirror it hadn't meant to look into. Outside the Clark home, news vans lined the street. Neighbors stood shoulder to shoulder with activists. Signs fluttered in the cool wind. Amina watched from her bedroom window, hugging her arms around herself. Her phone buzzed. Dozens of messages. From supporters, investors, strangers. She ignored them all. Downstairs, the television blared with breaking news. A reporter stood outside City Hall. Officer Dale Harkin has been placed on unpaid leave while the state opens a full review of his conduct. New allegations have surfaced from previous complainants. Amina winced. She wasn't sure if justice felt good or frightening. Lena walked into her room, holding a steaming mug. Tea, she said softly. Not optional. Amina took it with a faint smile. Thanks. Lena sat beside her on the bed. You okay? Amina shrugged. No. But I'm here. That counts. Lena hesitated. You know, you don't have to watch any of this. That won't change it, Amina said. May as well face it. Downstairs, Danielle was on the phone. Her voice steady, clipped, sharper than Amina had ever heard it. Yes, I understand. But she is not giving interviews, Danielle said. She is a child. You will respect that. Amina swallowed. She hasn't slept either. She won't, Lena said. Not until she feels you're safe again. The doorbell rang. Danielle hurried to the entryway. Amina and Lena drifted to the stairs just in time to see two internal affairs officers standing in the doorway. We're here to deliver an update, one said. Danielle stiffened. An update? Yes, ma'am. The officer removed his cap. Officer Harkin has been terminated from the police department effective this morning. Amina's breath caught. The second officer added. Additionally, the state attorney's office is reviewing possible charges related to falsifying a report and violating juvenile detention protocol. Danielle's hand pressed against the wall. Thank you for informing us. Amina stepped down a few stairs, voice trembling. Is it over? The officer met her gaze gently. The investigation continues. But the worst of his power over you is gone. They left. The door closed. Amina stood frozen on the staircase. Lena touched her arm. You did it. Amina shook her head. No. The video did. The people outside did. But you stood up. You told the truth. Amina sank onto the steps, burying her face in her hands. Relief and grief washed over her in equal measure. He lost his job, she whispered. His career. His livelihood. Danielle sat beside her. He nearly cost you your life. Amina didn't respond. She wasn't defending him, but she felt the weight of consequences, heavy and complicated. Later that afternoon, they gathered in the living room as her investors held an emergency video meeting. Faces filled the screen, concerned, apologetic. Amina, we're so sorry you had to face this, the lead investor said. Take whatever time you need. The round is secure. We stand by you. Amina nodded slowly. Thank you. Another investor added. Your resilience. It's remarkable. The entire tech community is behind you. Amina forced a polite smile. She didn't feel remarkable. She felt exhausted. After the call ended, Lena shut the laptop softly. Your company's safer than ever. Amina stared at the carpet. I should feel happy. What do you feel? Amina breathed out shakily. Like part of me is still in that holding cell. Like I'm waiting for the door to open again. Lena took her hand. Trauma doesn't leave just because justice shows up. Amina nodded, tears pricking her eyes. I hate that it happened. I hate that it's part of my story now. But it won't define you, Lena said. You define it. In the evening, community members gathered outside her home. Danielle insisted they keep the windows closed to give Amina space, but the hum of support filled the house like a low chorus. Amina stepped outside anyway. The crowd grew quiet when they saw her. Some held candles. Some held signs. All watched her with a mixture of awe, respect, and heartbreak. A woman stepped forward. We're here for you, baby. Amina swallowed. Thank you, she said softly. Her voice cracked. Thank you for not letting me disappear. A murmur of warmth rippled through the crowd. Danielle stood behind her, hands on her daughter's shoulders. She wants everyone to go home soon and rest, she said gently. This fight isn't just hers. It belongs to all of us. Amina looked out at faces she didn't know but suddenly felt connected to. She realized something important. Justice wasn't a moment. It was a movement, one she was now part of, whether she wanted it or not. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky orange, Amina whispered to Lena, "Tomorrow, maybe I should speak somewhere. Forum. School. I don't know." Lena smiled softly. "Whenever you're ready." Amina stared at the horizon. Not healed, not whole, but standing. For the first time since the arrest, she felt the faintest glimmer of control returning. And that was its own kind of justice. A week later, Amina stood in the glass conference room of her company's headquarters. Her company, her vision, her creation. Morning light spilled across the long table as her team filed in, their faces a blend of pride, relief, and quiet worry. This was her first day back. Lena nudged her gently. "Ready?" "No," Amina admitted. "But I'm here." "That's enough." When everyone settled, Amina stepped to the front. Her fingers trembled, but her voice held steady. "Thank you for holding things together," she began. "I'm not going to pretend the last week didn't change me. Did. But it also reminded me why we built this place. To fix systems that leave people behind." Her team nodded, listening with full hearts. Jamal raised a hand. "If you need a lighter workload." Amina shook her head. "No. I need purpose. I need movement. We keep going." Lena smiled in quiet admiration. As the meeting continued, updates, action plans, timelines, Amina felt something unlock inside her. Click. Shift. The world had taken too much from her. But here, in this room, she regained a piece of herself. Later in her office, she sat with her therapist over a telehealth call. The older woman's warm eyes softened as soon as the camera connected. "How are you sleeping, Amina?" "Barely," she admitted. "Nightmares." Amina nodded. "Flashlights in my eyes." Of his voice telling me I fit a description. "It's like my brain keeps replaying the same fear." "That's normal," the therapist said gently. "Trauma is a loop. But loops can be broken with time and support." Amina looked down at her hands. "I feel guilty." "Why?" "Harkin lost his job. He might face charges. His family might suffer." "No. I never wanted to ruin someone." "You didn't ruin him," the therapist said firmly. "His actions did. Consequences are not revenge. They are accountability." Amina exhaled slowly. "Let yourself heal," the therapist added. "And remember, surviving doesn't mean the fear disappears. It means you learn to live stronger than the fear." After the session, Amina stood by her office window. The city moved below her. Cars threading down streets, people hurrying about their lives. For the first time, the world didn't look threatening. It looked possible. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Proud of you. Soup is ready whenever you want to come home." Another from Lena. "You're doing amazing. Don't forget to eat." And then one unexpected message from an unknown number. "Thank you for telling the truth. I filed a complaint years ago. No one believed me. You gave me courage. JD." Amina's breath caught. She typed back a single line. "You're not alone." That afternoon, she was invited to speak at a community youth forum. She hesitated, stomach twisting, but then she remembered the crowd outside her home, the candles, the voices, the people who refused to let her story be buried. She went. The auditorium overflowed with students, teachers, activists, and parents. Cameras were banned. This was not a spectacle, it was a conversation. When Amina stepped to the podium, murmurs filled the room. She took a deep breath. "I didn't come here to talk about being a CEO," she said. "I came because I was afraid. And too many of us live afraid." Silence spread like a blanket, warm and heavy. She continued. "What happened to me wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a bad night. It was a reminder of a system that sees some of us as threats before it sees us as people." Her voice trembled but didn't break. "But I'm still here. And I know many of you have your own stories. I hope we learn to protect each other. I hope we learn to be heard." A girl in the front row wiped tears. A boy beside her nodded fiercely. After the forum, people lined up to hug her, thank her, tell her their pain. Amina listened to each of them with quiet reverence. Their stories became part of her healing. That evening, she walked home instead of taking a ride. The sky glowed purple, the air cool against her cheeks. When she reached the street where she had been arrested, she paused. The memory hit hard, the lights, the cuffs, the helplessness. But tonight the same sidewalk felt different. Not safe, not free of scars, but hers. She stepped forward slowly, letting her shoes carry her past the exact spot where her life had changed. The street was quiet, peaceful. A final breeze swept down the block, lifting the edge of her jacket. She stopped, placed a hand over her heart, and breathed deeply. Steady, grounded, alive. This time she didn't tremble. The world could try to break her, but it could not decide who she became. She walked the rest of the way home beneath the city lights, brighter, steadier, like the start of something new. And for the first time since the arrest, Amina felt it fully. She was resetting her life. On her terms.